MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Rob Liefeld returning to Image Comics. So if you guys don't know this, Rob Liefeld is the creator of Deadpool and Cable, and he has had an interesting history in the comic book industry. But in this video, because it pertains to Rob Liefeld, I am not going to talk about his $50,000 comic book campaign that he has not fulfilled. That just automatically makes him a piece of shit, in my opinion, because that's just essentially stealing a lot of people's money and then not giving them their product. So hopefully, maybe down the road, he'll do it. But at this point, just like EVS, I wouldn't expect that book coming out anytime soon. So just like my dad not existing in my life, that's when that book is going to happen for that fate as well. Not existent. So he's on Twitter. I do follow him. He has some interesting takes every once in a while. He is a very big proponent of the indie comic scene, actually, because as you guys know, he was one of the original founders of Image Comics with obviously John Lasseter and Jim Lee and Tom McFarlane and all those guys, right? And recently, he's made probably a lot of money because Deadpool and Wolverine came out and made $1 billion plus. Now, he obviously made a lot of money because of the other Deadpool movies coming out as well, and he was very happy with that. So I imagine that this movie hitting that $1 billion plus made him really happy. But then about, like, let's say a few months ago, I'm pretty sure you saw this on his Twitter page, he wrote this, like, big, long, like, twit longer Donzo manifesto of basically, he's denying this, but he literally said it himself. He said he's basically retiring from drawing and writing for Deadpool. That's it. He literally said that. He's basically just going to have the very last Deadpool series come out, which is Deadpool Team Up, which is currently going to be on issue 3 at the time of me recording this video. And then after that's finished with Deadpool Team Up, issue number 5, it's a 5-part miniseries, then that will wrap up his Deadpool legacy at Marvel Comics. So in the next video, you guys will see after that, we're going to talk about the Deadpool getting replaced. We haven't talked about that yet, but we'll go over that in the next video because we have to talk about this first because obviously he is the creator of Deadpool. Thought only make it more fitting, right? So you kind of figure that after he wrote that like big, giant, long 3-paragraph essay about basically retiring from Deadpool, well, where's he going to go? So come to find out, he's going back to Image Comics, actually. Reunited, and it feels so good. Going back to your roots. That's how it works. Or maybe he's going back to sniffing heroin or can't draw feet, actually. Keep in mind, this is the same guy who drew that oversized buff Captain America for Secret Empire, the series where Captain America revealed he's been with Hydra the entire time. Just absolutely one of the most dumbest ideas probably in modern comics history. Absolutely, dude. Straight up trash. So I'll let you, man. What's your general thoughts and opinions on Rob Liefeld?
Isn't he just coming back and doing Youngblood again?
Yep.
Like, seriously, I want to look up these characters, dude. Like, because this is the problem I always had with Youngblood. I don't know what it is he was ever really doing with it because they weren't Youngblood. Give me the comic. COMIC.
Okay, so apparently someone else bought the property from Image Comics. Like, they would print it under Image Comics, but someone else owns it, actually. So apparently,
I wonder who owns it.
Yeah, so apparently he's entered into some sort of like deal with said person to basically, you know, make merchandise for it, comic books.
He sold it because that was his book. He did this book. That was his thing. But see, this is the thing about the characters that were always in there. They were all basically some kind of take on something he had already done before.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was basically just X-Force. Let's see. You've got the like main guy on the team. It's like some sort of crossover between Captain America and Hawkeye. Whatever. You've got chicks with big boobs. You've got a Hulk wannabe. You've got somebody who looked kind of like Shatterstar in there at some point. You've got, I mean, dude, here's the one here. Yeah, that was the guy I was trying to think of. Like straight up Deathstroke looking guy here that are all just done with all of the like weirdly. I never understood this. There was always like these multicolored like straps on their legs, and it never made sense. It's like, is that are there pouches there? Is it some kind of like leg strap for a gun? Like, what are going on with this? The designs were always weird to me, but this guy
Okay.
straight up looks like Deathstroke. But they all were just, there was nothing engaging about the book ever. I have Youngbloods here and there, but it never, the
You
characters were
said
never
that
developed
was
in a way
one of
that
those
popped.
like you said that was one of those like Image Comics books that would come out at the time where the art was really good, but the writing just really wasn't there.
Yeah, it just didn't exist. The characters didn't exist. There was nothing that popped off the art popped off the page, but the characters were uninteresting, unappealing, lacking ankles,
Yeah. Rob
et cetera, et
Liefeld.
cetera, et cetera.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, DoorDash,
But
for the
dude,
ad.
it never
I really
came
needed
out
that.
either. Like the book was so like what's the longest run this book ever had? 5 issues maybe, and it would take him a year to get them out, and it would get canceled. They'd relaunch it again as Team Youngblood or Youngblood Extreme, and he kept trying to do all these various things with it that never worked. Now it looks like there was 22 actual issues that ran. So it started November 1, 1994. But
That's what
let's
I was
see there.
born.
So that's
Crazy. I was
that's
born in
Team
1994.
Youngblood.
Yep.
Where's the other one at? So here's Team Youngblood again.
Yeah.
I don't know what Riptide Explosion is. I'm going through these covers here. Yeah, but where is the original one? Like in the art, it's so much because there's so much distance between when they were first published and when they came out
Didn't
later.
Rob Liefeld try to push that other book that he pushed out this year? It was the one where he was selling it on his whatnot. I forgot the name of it. It also had blood in the title too.
Oh God, who knows?
Yeah, like that didn't take off at all, honestly. So I wanted to bring this up. So I understand why he doesn't want to do anything more for Marvel Comics with Deadpool. Is because even if he does have a good selling Deadpool run, Marvel Comics owns that character, even though he created it, and they make all the money off of it. So I understand him wanting to basically kind of just go and do his own thing by himself and make all the money potentially from a new property. But he tried doing this with another comic book he was selling on his whatnot. I think it was called Youngblood or something. You know, I forgot.
No,
it had
was
the title
Youngblood.
of blood in it.
What is it? Team Youngblood. Where is the? No, this is Team Youngblood. So this was 1994. He'd already relaunched the title again, but he took this title to other publishers too. It wasn't just at Image.
Yeah.
He went somewhere else and published it for a minute as well, and I don't remember what the name of the company was. Now it's going to drive me nuts. Go back to Google. All right, Youngblood Comics. I don't care about that. I want to know. Rob Liefeld returning to Youngblood from Hollywood Reporter. Why do you guys care? I'm curious. Youngblood. Oh, here we go. Image Comics database. So there was a character Supreme. That was one of the other ones that he did. It was written by Alan Moore. That's weird. Alan Moore got involved.
Oh, I found it.
New version of Youngblood was introduced.
It was the one he did it earlier this year. It was called It was called Last Blood. It was the character that had the giant like metal helmet on him. He looked like a Greek goddess, a Greek god or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't take off at all. So I hope if he's returning back to Image Comics for this, it's worth it. Rob Liefeld returns to Youngblood after 7 years, writing and drawing a new series from Image Comics in 2025. Article summary: Rob Liefeld returns to Youngblood in 2025, reviving his iconic comic series with Image Comics. Youngblood Vault Edition features high-resolution scans of original art, celebrating its 33rd anniversary. Scott Rosenberg and Liefeld reunite, reigniting passion for the groundbreaking 1992 series. Rob reflects on Youngblood's impact and its initial million-copy success without gimmicks. Interesting. We'll see how that turns out.
I'm not even sure when this, like, it says it was 1984, but that's not when this launched. I think that's a story title. Like even here, it's like 1984, the American government created the Youngblood super team, and Marcus Langstrom, codenamed Sentinel, was the first member to sign up. It's like, bro, okay. So we're a little
Jim Lee is
familiar
back on
territory there.
Batman. Jim Lee is back on Batman, and now Rob Liefeld is back on Youngblood. What kind of day is this? Once upon a time in 1992, Rob Liefeld published Youngblood, the debut issue of Image Comics. At some point, as various deals were done, as studios such as Extreme, Maximum, Awesome, and others were funded, Liefeld ended up handing the rights to Youngblood to producer Scott Rosenberg, the investor and producer behind Malibu Comics, Platinum Comics, Men in Black, and Cowboys and Aliens, now owned by Rip Media Incorporated, with Rosenberg and Glenn Egert as co-presidents. And then Scott Rosenberg sold them to the recluse publisher of Elementals and Comic Co., Andrew Rev, along with Supreme, as Rev launched a new publisher to put out new Supreme and Youngblood comics, all of which came to nothing. So this was an image that dropped on the Hollywood Reporter, and this looks kind of cool, I guess.
It's not bad. The art is good, like I said, but
looks like all of the other stuff he draws.
I guarantee you, nobody could tell you what any of those characters' powers are. No one. No one but Rob Liefeld.
Archery, I guess. This guy looks like the Hulk, so I imagine he's just a raging brute monster, and I don't even know who the fuck that's supposed to be.
I mean, yeah, but we're taking guesses here. Nobody knows these. This is just something that...
I'll ask you this. Youngblood number 1 drops next year in 2025. Would you give it a chance to pick it up for a number 1?
I don't really care.
I would try out issue 1. I'll try issue 1 to see if I like it.
Here's the next one. It looks like Casey, Donovan, and Crabtree did a... This is the new Youngblood that was published by somebody, not Image. Let's see, does it even mention Liefeld? It doesn't mention Liefeld, so I'm guessing this is after it was bought. Oh, no, it is by Image. It's got a bunch of new characters. Oh, no, Liefeld did do this cover, though, so never mind. He's involved in some way. That looks even more like X-Force. Like, look at this. This looks like a straight-up... It constantly is him aping. I'm putting it in XDMs. This is him constantly aping a property that he used to be involved with, is what I get.
Yeah.
The designs just look like that. They just look like something he's already touched before.
And but I'll say he's had the same art style since he's been doing Deadpool for a little bit there. I mean, this is a fine art style. There's nothing great about it, but it's realistic. It's fine. And while Rob Liefeld did not have any kind of words for Rosenberg or Rev and spoke about saying goodbye to Youngblood, it seems that needs must when the devil drives. Okay. All right, Rich, trying to sound more smarter than you are. Just shut the fuck up. And so in 2025, Rob Liefeld will once again return to Youngblood, writing and drawing a new series for Image Comics for the first time in 7 years, and in conjunction with Scott Rosenberg and Rip Media Incorporated. This is the quote. "It's so great that I can run into the comfort of characters that I created that launched a movement that carries such history. I love Youngblood so much. These characters are my absolute passion." Image Comics will publish Youngblood Vault Edition, their version of Scott Dunbier's artist editions, with high-resolution scans of the original art from the first Youngblood series in a deluxe oversized hardcover. There will also be a Face Smile edition of Youngblood number 1, timed to its 33rd anniversary in 2025. Rob and I are a fantastic team, and I'm as excited now for Youngblood's relaunch as I was in 1992's for its initial launch, said Rosenberg, adding, "I'm excited to bring them to audiences old and new with their original creator, Rob Liefeld. Kind words considering what went down." Well, I guess the old saying is time heals all wounds, which is bullshit. I just say that because I'm just
suppose.
a optimistic heart. like if I went on Twitter and I said, "Savage Dad, you're a fat N-word, sand N-word, you're a bitch," 20 years from now, "Hey, man, I need a place to stay, man. I'm homeless." Holy shit.
I am fat, dude. I need to lose some weight. I've got to send some pants back because I bought ones that are too small. I am right now.
Previously,
so.
Rob Liefeld told me, "I have nothing to do with Youngblood, it's dead to me. And in 2020, it looked like he was creating his own Youngblood-alike property, EKO 92. This guy just makes stuff that just doesn't hit with people anymore. He did Last Blood. He literally did that this year. It went nowhere. It legit went nowhere. And this is another image of Youngblood. I'm pretty sure this is going to be on. This is the variant. This is the cover for issue 1. I can tell this is the cover for issue 1. This is easily one.
Yeah.
All right.
So many of these characters, just names. Like I'm looking through the Wikipedia for it. Like he's been trying to push this forever. It was in and it just for some reason, like he was done with it, dude. He never started with it. He had no idea. This is what happened. I'm gonna tell you what happened. Rob Liefeld got approached by Jim Lee, Todd, and a bunch of the other guys that were like, "Hey, we're gonna leave Marvel and do our own shit." And he wanted to be cool. He wanted to join them, but he had no original ideas at all. So he sat down with a couple comic books on his desk with different characters around and started drawing and made some shit up. Like the guy, guess what his name is? Shaft. He's a former FBI agent with a special bow. Because we haven't seen that shit before.
Oh, shit.
And then he just made a bunch of other characters that are vaguely similar, like are mashups of characters he either saw somewhere else or was involved with, and God only knows. But so I'm trying to find out what happened to it, because I swear to God, it printed on somewhere other than Image for like a half second and then disappeared again as well. I know he had other people work through it. Let's see, publishing. Let's see, Youngblood were published intermittently between that's nice. April 92 and July 93. 4 months passed between publication of issues 3 and 0, apparently, and 5 months between 4 and 5. Again, what we keep saying, back then, this is how wild that is, bro. Think about that right now. Back then, that was irregular. 4 or 5 months between issue 4 and issue 5, that was not normal. Now we got people out here telling us like 4 or 5 years is fine if the book's quality. Bro,
like keep in mind, even back then, for those standards back then, late books were unacceptable. Guys, late books are never acceptable, no matter who you talk to. The book needs to come out on time. Youngblood was Rob Liefeld's media-influenced superhero comic, and it was the comic that saw him break away from success at Marvel Comics. Initially advertised as coming from Malibu Comics and promoted as created by him and current DC SVP Hank Canals, by the time it was published. It was the first Image Comics title, and Hank was just the scripter of the first issue, selling millions. It was soon followed by Spawn, Wildcats, Savage Dragon, Shadowhawk, Wetworks, and Cyberforce. It transformed the direct comics market overnight, showed creators that they could have a big success away from the big two, and was the basis of an entire studio from Rob Liefeld. It has been revived a few times over the years, switched publishers, was even written by the likes of Kurt Busiek, Mark Miller, and Alan Moore for some time, and was also promoted as being picked up by Netflix, and then not anymore. We were meant to get Youngblood Blood Wars, but without Joy. And then Andrew Rev failed to deliver as well. Because Netflix, they gave, and I love Mark Miller, so keep in mind, I love what he's doing.
Awesome.
They paid Mark Miller basically a king's ransom, probably a lot of money, to do a comic book series based off Miller World, and the only one we got was Jupiter's Legacy. And I didn't mind the Jupiter's Legacy comic books. I have them, but that series was yikes. Let's just say that. So Netflix tried to go all in on, we're gonna have our own MCU super universe. Yeah, that didn't work at all. A few years ago, looking back on 1992, Liefeld said, if you happen to walk into a comic store on April 17th, 1992, chances are you encountered an all-new comic book from an all-new comic label. That was the day that Youngblood was launched and Image Comics officially arrived. 28 years ago, y'all showed up in overwhelming droves to the tune of 1 million copies. We even sold out early that morning. Yeah, people forgot to factor this in. Image Comics, when it was made and when they actually put out their titles, it was big. You had people literally lined out the door for it. That's how big it was.
Dude, it was huge.
That's how many people were going to comic shops. You know how, like, for movies, you had people camping outside for movie titles, like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Twilight. That happened for comic book shops at one point. Where's that love? Well, we don't have it anymore.
Gone.
I was stunned at the reception. The morning started out with me preparing for a signing at Gapple Comics to launch the book, and it ended with me being on a talk show later that evening. It was a whirlwind of a day that I'll always remember as if it were yesterday afternoon. Youngblood was born of true love, pure passion for comic books, and an evolution of all that I'd started at Marvel Comics with Cable, Deadpool, Domino, and a whole bunch of characters you had never heard of before. I created X-Force. It was time to share more of what was in my notebooks and control the creative destiny of all of those ideas and concepts. There was no animosity with Marvel. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, fuck off. I will always be grateful for the folks I worked with. Yeah, the ones that don't pay you jack shit. Yeah, fuck off, Rob. Shut the fuck up. Who will let my young ambitions fly free. That's just so disingenuous. Then why not keep working with them then? Rob, shut up. I just had an instinct that this was a time to let all of the ideas fly. Youngblood sells 1 million copies without a single variant or specialty, cover, or gimmick of any kind. Can you imagine that in today's market? There was no Youngblood before April 1992. It was a fresh out of the gate. We were the gimmick that drove sales, the talent that fans rallied around. Youngblood was the incubator for an entire universe that followed. Prophet, Brigade, Bloodstrike, Berserkers, and so many more. I viewed it as my Fantastic Four, which birthed Black Panther, Inhumans, and Silver Surfer. Thank you to all of you that showed up in 1992 and stayed all the years that followed. While the rights to Youngblood are a hot mess, the result of a bad deal I did with people who are not terribly bright some 20 years back.
That's who it was. Yep. I was trying to remember. Awesome Comics was where Youngblood moved when it left when it left Image, and Alan Moore wrote and created characters for it that are gone. They don't exist today, but it was all Awesome Comics was basically written or I don't know if Alan Moore was involved with them, but they basically disappeared. But they had it was like a startup comic book company that they picked up Youngblood because that's where Liefeld was probably getting paid more. They bought it or brought him over with it. But apparently he did end up with it back at Image at some point. Yeah, I was going through this stuff here, but this is such a fraught mess, a constant mess of Rob Liefeld basically not being able to work on this book and desperately trying to get somebody else to write it for him because he couldn't. But the premise was always so bad that nobody ever gave enough of a shit. Not even Alan fucking Moore and Mark Millar ever gave this book depth. Why? I don't know why this is even news. This is Liefeld never cared about these characters or this book, and nobody else.
All you don't buy that bullshit emotional gag that he's given people.
No, it's bullshit. It's a sales pitch. He doesn't care about it. He said as much. That's why he sold the idea.
Yeah. That's another thing that no one did picked up with the story. Yeah, that's the thing. No one's picked that up with this story. Guys, if he cared this much about Youngbloods and it sold 1 million, I'm not saying they didn't sell that much. I'm not saying he's lying. But if it sold this much and he made these characters because he wanted something truly of his own that didn't belong to the big two, why did he sell it to all these different people? Multiple times.
Why would he never write it? Why could he never write it at all? He had Kurt Busiek plotting it even. It wasn't even that he couldn't do a script. He couldn't even plot for these characters. What in the real fuck? Why? Nobody cares about this book. This is going to do worse than Ghost Machine, dude. Nobody cares. Nobody's ever really given a shit about Youngblood. Like I said, he had no ideas when he left Marvel with everybody else, but since a bunch of the guys he hung out with were going and they were cool.
And he hit it lucky that day. He hit it lucky in 1992.
He got lucky.
Yeah.
And he what he did is he used the influence and likeness of a bunch of different characters, mashed a couple of them up, and made a bullshit story from a very simple premise, and then never knew at all what to do with any of it to make it engaging or interesting, so it never sold. And then he just couldn't do anything with it, so he constantly tried to find somebody else to write it, somebody else to do something with it, borrowed characters from other creators to make it be interesting, and then eventually sold it because somebody had too much money. And
keep in mind, the other person that had it, the guy Rosenberg, he's had it, not done anything with it because he realized to himself he probably overpaid for an overrated property from a guy that has more known value in his name because of stuff he did at Marvel. Keep in mind, guys, people know Rob Liefeld. He obviously helps create Image, but what he's truly known for is creating Deadpool and Cable and X-Force. The stuff that he's created at Image pales in comparison to the stuff that he's created for Marvel, and you know that probably sucks for him because he's never going to make the money that he deserves for creating those characters. Ask this to yourself. If he cares this much about Youngblood, why is he not trying to get it back after all these many years? Guys, it's 2024. Okay, this book has been passed around as a property between how many publishers did we run through? Like five at least in the last
stuff at Image.
15 years.
Well, what's funny is it was a bunch of these publishers that paid him big money for it. Every single one of them crashed and burned. Awesome Entertainment, that's right. Who were these guys? It was up there for here's even more funny shit. Never mind. It wasn't that they bought it from him. It's that he tried to create it with Jeff Loeb, and it failed in 3 years. You know what it was? I bet he sold Youngblood to get out of the debts he owed for it. Because you know what happened with that Youngblood series over there at Extreme Awesome whatever? I don't know that it made more than 3 issues. I might have all 3 of those issues. I should look it up. Let's see. Alan Moore wrote Supreme there. And that apparently, I think that actually did all right. I think some people liked that. But yeah, Youngblood and Glory. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, there was Alan Moore was involved. They must have paid him a shit ton of money. And yes, Jeff Mitsuda had a really cool book there. McGinnis. I don't remember what McGinnis did there. Churchill and Loeb. That interesting. Yeah, he had a good idea. Jeff Mitsuda did Jackie Chan Adventures, TMNT. He did good work, but he had an interesting book there. I don't remember what it was called. But Tom Strong. Oh yeah, was Tom Strong at Awesome? That ended up over back at Image, but that was a big one for what's his name as well. Yeah.
Well, I'll ask you, man. You're not interested in getting a Youngblood #1?
Don't care. Nah. Dude, I never cared beforehand. It was never interesting.
I don't. Yeah, like when this came up as news, I was like, this guy's just writing out a sob story for himself, and I'm supposed to feel sorry for this guy. Like, what the fuck?
I'm gonna put this out there right now. Ethan Van Sciver is Indie Comics Rob Liefeld. Changed my mind.
Oh God. So just want to point out, I will grab #1. I'll see if it's worth my time. You know, maybe Rob Liefeld's gonna write a good story. Keep in mind, I don't have faith in this. This is book
hitting it.
He's writing it. Yeah, he's gonna do art and write it. That's what they said in the article too, and all the other outlets corroborate on it too. Yeah, he's gonna write and draw. I guess that saves money on the variant covers. Keep in mind, I don't know, man. The reason why I'm not hyped is because this book's been passed around more than my wife has in town. And even legendary writers like Mark Miller and Alan Moore couldn't make it work. Even its own creator didn't want it many times. So will it work out? Are you guys interested in it? Well, we'll find out when it drops in 2025. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you're a returning viewer or new viewer, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I'm MSK, aka Master Swag King. We're signing out, guys. Peace.